Hi, my name is Gage and I'm in love. I know that's a big word to throw around, but it's also a multifaceted one. There are varying types of love, and different degrees of love are required for each. For example, there is the love you feel for a song, a certain room, your favorite food, or even your dog. Then there's the love you feel for another person, your mom, dad, siblings, girlfriend or boyfriend, or your friends. Each love requires certain forms of attention, but unlike the first example, love for another person is different because people have the capacity to love you back. My chapel talk today focuses on one very important love in my life. It's my love for my best friend, who I consider my brother. I had my best friend, Clay walk in chapel today in my place, so I can easily point him out and embarrass him when necessary, but also symbolically because he is a very important part of me. He's half of me. Our friendship has shaped me into who I am today, for better or for worse. Clay and I have been best friends since kindergarten, where we both went to school at Baroque Academy in South Berwick, Maine, from kindergarten until 5th grade, when Clay left for Eaglebrook. We had countless play dates, which later turned into sleepovers, and then I started to travel with Clay's family. We did everything together, and more often than not, that meant we were in trouble together. In our formative years, Clay and I spent many hours on the dark wooden bench that sat opposite the principal's office, waiting to be reprimanded. From allegedly giving each other swirlies, which didn't actually happen, to cutting our hair with safety scissors during arts and crafts, or swimming up to the beautiful, blonde senior camp counselor, giving her a squeeze underwater and blaming it on the ass fish that upset the swimming banquet. Clay and I have shared endless memories and woven many stories of our shenanigans. And like all love, there's that moment where it starts. Some it's a spark, a fall, an awakening, but the beginning of my love started way back in kindergarten, in a flash, and yes, that is a pun. There was a big blue oval rug that had the alphabet in different colors around it. The class would race to the rug for circle time to sit on the letter of their name or on the coveted splat, the space between the A and the Z, where yellow paint splatter separated the end and the beginning of the alphabet. It meant the world to have that spot. I believe I was on the green G that day. I'm not sure of his motivation, but Clay decided to walk to the front of the class, face the dry erase board, and moon the class, at the expense of his dignity in hope of an uproar of laughter, which he undoubtedly achieved. Clay has never been one to hold back. He does most everything in full force in an all-or-nothing mentality. This is why he's so important to me, because Clay applies this dedication to all his friends as well. For this next story to make sense, I have to put it in the context of where I was in my life. When I was in 5th grade, my parents were going through an almost 2-year-long divorce. I was the oldest child of 3 and thus knew too much about the catastrophic relationship. My father was virtually non-existent as a parent, but never failed to complicate life for my mom. As a teacher, she supported 3 kids with minimal financial, emotional, or parental help from my father. In our struggle, I started to detach myself. I was falling behind in school, I was getting in trouble a lot, and above all, I was angry. I was angry at my parents for getting divorced. I was angry at my father's total failure as a husband and a father, and I was angry that I had to hold it all on my shoulders for my brother and sister's sake. At this point, my relationship with Clay had been so close for so long that I had developed one with his family as well. Clay's dad gave me the direction my father was failing to provide his son. I find it difficult to explain this relationship with Clay's family because, admittedly, I don't really understand it myself. I would have to devote another chapel talk to even graze the depth of that relationship. But I will always be grateful for the support they have given me in my life. It was near the middle of my 5th grade year. My mom had just shut the car door and went back inside to grab the rest of her supplies for teaching kindergarten, and I sat in the car and cried. I cried those bitter and embarrassed tears you cry when you know you're too old to be crying over something so trivial that you can't hold them back. I had to turn up the dial of the transistor radio sitting on my lap to drown out my embarrassing tears. It was a silver Brickle radio that had the red line with each radio station along the top and Kenny written in black ink above the line. I hated it. It was embarrassing. It never left the car. I just returned from a middle school trip where everyone fights for the back seats and then for the aisle seats. I sat in the back of the bus with one of my good friends, and we were shuffling through a silver iPod mini. This now relic of Apple at the time was the future. The personalized colors reflected the buyer, the spin wheel, each carefully selected track. It was incredible, especially for such a music fanatic. I sat in the back of our car and I cried because I couldn't have one. I knew we couldn't afford one, and I hated knowing that it was so beyond my capabilities of getting one. Fast forward a bit to Christmas, and under the tree was a letter from Mr. Gage. Rather than muddle his story, I'll read you sections of it now. It reads as follows. Dear Gage, I wanted to share with you a story about your friend Clay that Mrs. Gage and I think is pretty special. I recently asked Clay and Caroline on a Sunday evening drive back from Vermont to make a list of gifts they wanted for Christmas. They were both given the following parameters. No more than 5 gift suggestions. Each of the gifts must be reasonable, i.e. not too expensive, and each of the gifts must be realistic, i.e. Clay could not ask for a chihuahua. And to come out of the story for a second, Clay was obsessed with chihuahuas. Remember, he had this gray t-shirt that had a big red heart on it and a chihuahua in the middle. And in bold black letters around the heart, it said, I love my chihuahua. You should have seen a young chubby Clay with big curly hair that looks a bit like the Joneses, doesn't it? Back to the letter. I also asked them to put their list in order of priority, making it clear that they should not expect to receive each of the 5 gift suggestions. We discussed the possibility of 2 or 3 of the gifts being reasonable depending on their suggestions. Both Clay and Caroline worked hard on their lists, taking lots of time to complete the task. Your friend Clay even started over a couple of times, making lots of noise in the back seat over how difficult it was to whittle the list to just 5 suggestions and to put the suggestions in order of priority. Then, just as Clay was about to hand in his list, he took it back, stating that he had to make a priority change. When Clay finally submitted his list, I immediately noted that right near the top of the list, freshly elevated from a previously lower level of priority, was a rather unique gift wish, which reads as follows: for my best friend Gage, an iPod Nano. I asked Clay to explain his gift wish, letting him know that if we were to follow his suggestion, it would mean one less gift under the tree for him to open. Clay told me that he understood and that this was something he really wanted to do. I can remember when I finished reading Mr. Gage's letter under the tree that Christmas. My mom was crying. She hugged me and kept saying, "We are so lucky. We were and we are so lucky. The misfortunes that had befallen us would bring my family to where we all are now." In life, I have found it's not the objects themselves that bear their significance, but the memories they hold inside. When it comes down to it, an iPod is just bits of plastic, wires, and glass. It was Clay's selfless act that became a testament to our friendship. I mean, how many 5th graders would give up another present to unwrap for Christmas? I am so lucky. Many of those hard decisions in my life have been pre-planned. I know who the godfather to my children will be, and I know who my best man will be. I know who the godfather to my children will be. I know who will be there for me no matter what. It's easy to forget to tell someone how much they mean to you. We get lost in the egocentric roles of our lives and sometimes forget the little gestures that mean so much. Even if it's just telling someone how much they mean to you, don't pass it by. Clay and I butt heads like all brothers do, but just like brothers, there's next to nothing I would not do for my brother. Love you, man.